And I am joined by no one tonight because Harry, he decided not to get the poke, and he is sick. Not saying that's what he has, just saying those two may be correlated. But we're going to do a solo show for you tonight. Coming up in this episode, we're going to talk about ESPN's 30 under 30. Did they get it right? We're going to talk about what's next for Edge. We're going to talk about AEW and WWE breaking records, all that, and so much more coming up. The show starts now. But yeah, like I said in the intro there, Harry, he is not with us tonight, but that's okay. I wanted to get this show out because there's some big things happening in the wrestling world. We're going to go ahead and talk about a couple of those things. But first, as we always do, let's start off with a recap of the week. Monday Night Raw is up first. And with Monday Night Raw, we open the show with, well, let me let you take a guess. Put in the comments what you think started this show off tonight. If you guessed the Judgment Day, you are correct, because the Judgment Day starts off the show. We're joined in the ring by Damian Priest. We got Rhea Ripley, Dom, no Finn Balor, and they're basically in the ring. They're talking about how they need to get back to running WWE because they are the Judgment Day. They're the most dominant faction. And then all of a sudden, Damian Priest is like, "Okay, we got a problem, Finn. We need to work this out." Rhea gets mad. She's like, "No, let's not do this in the ring. We need to do this in the backstage." Priest is saying, "Okay, let's not act like everybody knows what's going on. They know what's going on. We need to go ahead and get this aired out." All of a sudden, JD McDon't Google Me comes out to the ring, and he's out there on behalf of Finn. He tells the gang that he handled Sami Zayn last week, who was still miraculously able to be medically cleared, but it is up to them to handle Cody Rhodes. And of course, Judgment Day pushes back on this. "Hey, don't tell us what to do. Tell Finn that we need to handle this." All of a sudden, out comes Sami Zayn. And again, if you saw it last week, he had this elbow thing, pretty gruesome. Apparently, that was a real thing, so he is injured. But I digress. He is healthy enough to be able to do this. So he runs out to the ring. He attacks JD McDon't Google Me. Judgment Day, they're just sitting there watching this whole thing transpire. And this leads to an impromptu match. Sami Zayn versus JD McDon't Google Me. And wouldn't you know, Sami Zayn, he actually wins this match. I don't know. You got this new guy from NXT. You got to hurt Sami Zayn, who's a champion. So let's go ahead and throw that out there. But the new guy on a hurt person, and he still can't get the victory. He takes the dub, haluva kick. He even had the help of Finn Balor out there, who was not out there in the opening segment, but he did come out there for this match. He causes somewhat of a distraction. We think he's gonna, he being McDougal. I don't know. I'm gonna say a couple different of his names. So, but yeah, he tries to do a roll up, fails to roll up. Sami Zayn gets the haluva kick, 1, 2, 3, and that's how that segment ends. And of course, there was a beatdown afterwards, and that is the end of that segment. Our next segment, we go to Chelsea Green. She's backstage with Adam Pearce. Now, as you know from listening to our show last week, and if you haven't, go back and listen to it. Also, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 500 subscribers. If you can help us get there, that will be awesome. But Chelsea Green, she's backstage with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is trying to strip her of the title. because Sonya Deville is hurt with a ACL injury, and Chelsea Green. She goes completely Karen. She says she's going to call HR. You can't do this to me. Adam Pearce is like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And Chelsea, she kind of throws back to what she did on Twitter. She said, let me do a Chelsea's Got Talent. In walk Caden Carter and Katana Chance. How you doing? Nice to meet you, because you've been off TV for a couple weeks. And they said, hey, when you find a partner, we want to crack at your titles. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, out comes Dewdrop, formerly known, but now she's known as Piper Niven again. She comes out. She drops both Carter and Chance. She looks at Chelsea Green and says, "I'm your partner now." And Chelsea Green says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I was gonna do this whole thing. Maybe you can like, do you got social media? Maybe you can send me like a reel." Dewdrop says, "I don't think you understand." Piper Niven. Sorry, I'm gonna keep calling her Dewdrop. Whatever. Piper Niven, Dewdrop. It's all the same. So Piper Niven says, "I don't think you understand. I said I'm your new partner." She grabs the title, and then that's the way the segment ends. We don't get any follow up after that. So I know there's a lot of back and forth on this whole thing. Oh well, how's she just declaring herself as champion? Why didn't anybody else do that? But I actually kind of like this because it's already like a new dynamic. She's like the big muscle. She's bossing around Chelsea Green. I can see them working matches where Chelsea Green is come from behind and then she's the closer. She comes in, she finishes the match. She's like a dominant force. They could do that, or they could still do the Chelsea's Got Talent. I think they could stretch that out a couple weeks, and it would be a good thing for TV. It will give something of relevance to the tag team titles, because that needs a storyline. If it's over with Piper Niven, um, again, the dynamic can work. I already kind of liked it, so we will see where that goes. But next up, we go to a backstage segment with Cody Rhodes. He's sitting with Byron Saxton. Pretty much, he just goes through the accomplishments of the Judgment Day. He has a match set up with Finn Balor later, and he says, Finn Balor's this. Damian Priest has the briefcase. Dom is submissive, but he's a champion. And he basically says he'll be ready for both Finn Balor and the Judgment Day. Then we go to Gunther, the Ring General Gunther. He is out there. He does his little dictator thing where he stands on the table, which is absolutely a beautiful touch to his character. He's standing above everybody like a dictator. They shoot him from like the ground up, kind of. So it's a beautiful sight. It just reminds me of whatever dictator. I'm not big on the dictator thing, but I guess Stalin, that other guy. I don't want to. Not trying to get demonetized, but the other guy. I don't even know if you can say him on YouTube. Kim would be his first name. So Gunther, he's out there. He talks about his greatness. He says, "I'm the greatest Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of all time." And he says, they're in Canada. He says, being a European, I can see why they call this the armpit of Canada. And he says, Chad Gable is an impressive performer. He impressed me last week by winning that Fatal 4-Way match. And he's a former Olympian, probably the best athlete in the company. But I have done more in 1 year than he's done in his entire run with WWE. And all of you think, this still being Gunther, all of you think that he's a threat to taking away my Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion? Ridiculous, says Gunther. Out comes Chad Gable. And he comes out, he says that he's going to beat Gunther. And at least for 24 hours, because they do have this match set up for next week, at least for 24 hours, Gunther's going to be champion. But tonight I have a match against your boy, Giovanni Vinci. We have a little, before the match starts, we get a little thing with Ludwig Kaiser. He runs in, or he says, "No, no, no. You will not disrespect Giovanni Vinci that way." I know that's a bad accent, but I'm trying to entertain you guys. So he runs down. He says, "If Giovanni Vinci's going to embarrass you, Chad Gable, like I embarrassed you, your buddy, Otis, and then Maxine, Madame Maxine, you will have no choice but to turn to European elegance," saying that she's going to be forced to be with Ludwig Kaiser. So off goes the match. It lasts about like what 2 minutes. Chad Gable wins Chaos Theory. Giovanni Vinci again taking the L, and Gunther does point that out pretty regularly. He is not happy with Vinci taking all those L's. Now, before the end of this segment, so Chad Gable he gets the win Chaos Theory. You have Otis. He's in the ring. He's like gyrating in front of Gunther, hip thrusting. And Gunther, he grabs the mic and says, "No, no, that's not how this night's going to end. I demand a match right now with Otis." So now we have another impromptu match: Otis versus Gunther. Take a guess who's going to win that match. This actually was not the best look for Gunther. He, well, we'll just say it was Otis. It was just a sloppy match, but he did pull off a power bomb at the end of the match on Otis for the victory. Immediately after the match, Chad Gable he gets a German suplex on Gunther, and Gunther rolls out of the ring. He is not happy. He blames Ludwig Kaiser. "Oh, you're chasing after that girl, but what's more important? My Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Not getting your dick wet." That's what he tells Kaiser. So they're backstage. He Kaiser says, "I'm sorry, I let you down. Never gonna happen again." I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna get this fixed, and we're gonna set up a match for later. Me versus Gable. I'm gonna take care of him next week. Gunther says, "No, no, no. I got this. Next week it's gonna be me versus Gable for my Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship." I don't know how they get out of this. Like we already said, probably Gunther is going to beat Gable, and then I don't know how we get back to it to get to a rematch at Payback. Maybe there's no match at Payback. We shall see what happens there, but we all expect Gunther to take the victory next week. After that match, we go to Otis. I'm sorry, we go to Riddle. Riddle and Drew McIntyre, they're backstage. Drew McIntyre's just he's standing there. Riddle's just talking his ear off like he used to do with Randy. If everybody remembers the RK Bro thing where him and Randy, and he always said, anyway. So he's talking Drew McIntyre's ear off. He says, "I got us a match against the Viking Raiders." Drew McIntyre says, "Okay, if you don't find a partner, I will be your partner for next week." Or I'm sorry, for tonight. Immediately we go into the next segment. It is Riddle. He goes out there and they're going to face the Viking Raiders. Out comes Drew McIntyre. Something felt off about this whole thing. It seems like McIntyre may be doing a heel turn because there was just something off about how he was reacting with Riddle. He didn't really want to be his partner. So he's probably turning heel on Riddle. It'll be good for his career. I can already see, okay, so McIntyre, he turns heel. Now we have some opponents that we can do, like Cody Rhodes. That's a main event match. Seth Rollins, that's a main event match for, he could chase the title, or I don't know, maybe he even takes the title at that point. Uh, Probably a returning Randy Orton. So turning McIntyre heel gives him a lot of opportunities. So it will be good for his career, I think. And this babyface Drew McIntyre is not it anyway, so it'll be the best thing for him. But we have the Viking Raiders versus McIntyre and Riddle. The Viking Raiders, of course, take the L because they're just the lovable jobbers with Valhalla out there with him. Next up, we have Indy. We had a backstage segment. Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez is still hurt. They're still holding this. Oh, you can't go yet. So she is. We're still pushing that off. She will be probably cleared by Payback, so her and Rhea Ripley can have her match. But in steps Indy Hartwell, the former NXT champion who had to relinquish her title due to an injury when she got called up to the main roster. She's been off TV since, and now she is going to be facing Rhea Ripley in essentially her debut singles match. She did some tag team matches with Candice LeRae, but this is like, if I'm not mistaken, this is her debut singles match. It did not go well for her. This lasted not even 2-3 minutes. Riptide, Rhea Ripley has taken the victory. But I will say, I do see something in Indy Hartwell. I personally like her. She used to use the second rope suplex a la Barry Windham. Insert another name that used to use the second rope suplex. Very throwback, very old school. So I like that aspect out of her. We will see where everything goes with that. But yes, this night she is on her back looking up at the lights. Rhea Ripley, of course, the forever Raw champion, I would say. I don't see anybody on the roster that is going to be able to touch her. But she wins. And post match, we get Candice LeRae. She attacks Rhea Ripley. Indy Hartwell joins in. So now we got a 2v1. And they just do a little beatdown. Finally, Dom helps. And that's how the segment goes there. So probably next week we have Candice LeRae versus Rhea Ripley. I'm not sure if that's set yet, but it will probably happen. We get another backstage segment. So we get the New Day, who are dressed in like swim gear. Xavier Woods has like a Milli Vanilli braid thing happening. They got white chairs. This is like a callback to what happened in Alabama. I'm not too up to speed with that, so I'm not going to touch on that. But they're talking backstage with McIntyre and Riddle. They're like, what's wrong with this tag team division? We got Riddle and McIntyre. They win one match. They think they deserve a title shot. You got Cedric or you got the Street Profits thinking they're Cedric and Shelton Benjamin, aka the Hurt Business. So they set up a match next week. The New Day versus Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle. I don't know if that's a number one contenders match. It just seems like a thrown together match. But they do seem to slowly be putting pieces back to the tag team division. Maybe there's a little bit of focus coming back to the tag team division. Also, when you include SmackDown. So that is a good thing because we do need something for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to do with the tag titles. And I just want to point out before WrestleMania or before Elimination Chamber, before WrestleMania, I was the one that was saying it's not a good idea. You got this white hot Sami Zayn. Why were you going to put him in a tag team division? Like, what's there for him to do? Now look where they are. Tag team titles are pretty much cursed, like the women's tag team titles, and there's nothing for them to do. So I called that. Just wanted to point that out. But I digress. Our next segment is Shinsuke Nakamura. he comes out to answer the question of why he brutally, savagely attacked Seth Rollins because he gave him one Kinshasa. And I couldn't tell you what he said. This whole thing was in Japanese, as it should have been, because number one, he's a heel. Number two, he doesn't need to be out there speaking broken English. They did this live in front of the crowd. I don't know why they didn't do a recorded segment. I think that would have gone off a lot better. But they're in the middle of the ring. Michael Cole, he asked Shinsuke why he did it. Again, Shinsuke, he talks mostly in Japanese. Then basically he says, I wanted the World Heavyweight title. Cue up Seth Rollins and his, oh, you get it. Seth Rollins comes out there. He's dancing all, doing the Seth Rollins thing, wearing like all white, way see-through stuff. Probably had his, anyway. So yeah, Seth Rollins, he's out there. And he tells Shinsuke, anytime, anywhere, you name the place, I'm a fighting champion, you get your title match. Shinsuke, he shakes Seth's hands and then he whispers something in his ear. And whatever he whispered in his ear had Seth Rollins so shook that he was just stunned. He just couldn't believe what Shinsuke told him. It's like Shinsuke said, I saw Becky naked. And Seth Rollins was like stunned or whatever he told Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, he's so stunned he doesn't see Shinsuke setting up for the Chinsas. Wow, the Shins setting up for the running knee. Golly, now see what this is when you're solo. This is what happens. Chin Shaska, and he hits him. Bam! Seth Rollins down, and that's how that segment ends. Probably again, we're setting that up for Payback. And I have a question for you guys: is that going to main event Payback? Let that sink in. There's not going to be a bloodline story. Roman, he's taking the little vacation. Jay has quit, so there's not going to be Jimmy versus Jay. They said they want to push that out to SummerSlam. So what else, if not this match, can headline or main event Payback? Are you going to do Becky versus Trish? Are you going to do Cody versus... maybe we're seeing Cody versus Finn at Payback. So is that going to be the main event? There's lots to think about there. We have a backstage segment. Byron Saxton, he is talking to The Miz. The Miz basically says he's going to show up at SmackDown because LA Knight showed up to Raw. And he said, next week I'm going to have this opponent, and it's going to be someone so big and fierce that bigger and fiercer than their LA Knight's ever beat. It's probably going to be Ninja Tozawa. Now, the next match. Do you remember all the people, and we talked about it on our show, all the people that said, oh, why are we leaving Becky and Trish off of the pay-per-view? Why? Why is this off of SummerSlam? This should be main event of Raw. Everybody's just pumping this match up. Well, we finally get it. Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. And it was not a good match. It was not a good match. They didn't gel well together at all. I sound like one of them geeks who are breaking down the wrestling. So I'm going to get off of that. Let's just say there was some botches. There were some mistimings. Just wasn't a smooth match. And the match ends in a no DQ. Becky Lynch and Trish, they fight up the stairs out of the arena into the little concession area where all the merchandise is. In comes Zoe Stark. They jump Becky Lynch. And that's how the segment goes. Later on, we have Trish and Zoe. They're walking backstage. They're reveling in what they did. Adam Pearce says, hey, what was that? And he says, we're going to do this again. We're going to set this match up again. This time it's going to be a steel cage match, which is like the one match Trish wanted to do in her career before she like officially retires. So you would think at Payback this will be a steel cage match, and maybe it'll be Trish's last match. I haven't seen that anywhere. I'm just telling you what I see because like what else is there for her to do after that? But yeah, does that main event over Seth Rollins and Shinsuke? I don't know. Finally, we are on to our main event of Monday Night Raw. We have Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. Cody Rhodes and his wow versus Finn Balor. Uh, they got a good chunk of time. I think it went like 15, 17 minutes, something like that. It was a normal Judgment Day match. Now, at least this wasn't like a triple threat or six-man tag, what they usually do. This was one-on-one, Cody versus Finn. We'll pick it up at the end of the match. Judgment Day, they tried to throw a chair into the ring to help Finn. The ref catches it. So he takes the chair out. Through more distraction, we have Cody, Priest. He throws the briefcase in the ring, slides right between Finn's leg into Cody's hands. Cody Rhodes hits Finn with the briefcase. Crossroads, 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes picks up the victory. But not to be outdone, Cody Rhodes picks up the victory, and then Judgment Day, they do an attack. They attack Cody Rhodes. We get a coup de grace on Cody Rhodes from Finn. Sami Zayn, he runs out to try to help. They attack Sami Zayn. He gets razor's edged through the announce table. And all the while, Judgment Day is just doing this beatdown. Another coup de grace to Cody Rhodes. And that's how we go off the air. Judgment Day, they're standing together, standing tall. Outside the ring, you have JD, McDon't Google me, and he is looking in, like outside of the group looking in. So that's how we go off the air there. Maybe this is what War Games is going to be. It is something to see there. I don't see really any other thing other than War Games. Because the bloodline thing, I don't think you can like rush that to War Games. So this looks like if they do War Games this year, this looks like where they're going to have to go with it. We got Team Judgment Day versus Team Cody, which would be Kevin Owens if he is cleared, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, and then the fourth guy, because it'd be four before here. The fourth guy, maybe you can do Seth Rollins. Yeah, I don't know who else would be. And then on the Judgment Day side, you got Finn, Priest, Dom, and then JD. So that would be your War Games. I don't see that you would add 5v5, but who knows? Maybe they do the 5v5. That's what they did last year, but we will see what happens there. But that is your Monday Night Raw. And that's going to take us into Friday Night SmackDown. Look at us, 30 minutes in. We're already on the SmackDown. That's what happens when you're solo, I guess. But since we do have extra time, again, I'm going to go ahead and shill the stuff. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all the stuff. We got X, we got Instagram, we got Twitter, TikTok. I do post a lot of TikTok, so you guys will follow us on TikTok. What else we got? Spotify, if you want to do the audio only thing. But, and not sponsored, but sign up for Peacock to watch all the WWE latest main live events. We got Payback coming up. We got some kind of NXT thing coming up that I don't watch. We got the documentary of Cody Rhodes, which is very well done. We got more documentaries coming soon. And there's also Bel Air, which is now a drama. And then there's movies like Cocaine Bear. So all that is on the Peacock. $9.99 is the subscription a month. If you want to be cheap, we're team ads over here. Pay for the one with ads. Be cheap like us. Again, not sponsored, but there you go. So let's start with SmackDown, or let's get over to SmackDown. SmackDown, we open the show with the Grayson Waller effects. Grayson Waller. So I do want to point out Grayson Waller. He used when he was in NXT, he did the Grayson Waller effect, and he had the little ticker at the bottom that goes now. It used to be a live feed, so you had people that are on his Instagram, like real time Instagram, sending in the stuff, and then you have that ticker going across. Now that he's on the main roster, it's completely like AI generated, I would say. Not real people. All the comments are just showing Grayson Waller. Uh, I don't know why they stopped doing the real live feed. Gee, I wonder. But that's just a little change that and I don't think we've ever pointed out, but I don't like. I like the live feed. But Grayson Waller, his guests are Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. They do a replay of last week, the whole thing about Rey Mysterio taking Escobar's spot and going to get the title. And Grayson Waller kind of plays this up. He says, Santos, how does it feel? Rey Mysterio stole your spot. Uh, you got injured. You've been on such a hot run. You've beat all these people. Santos said, including you. And he says, yeah, you beat all these people, but you get your moment to get the United States title. Rey Mysterio steps in. He takes your spot. Now he's the champion. Rey Mysterio says, hey, if one of us is champion, all of us is champion. And he says, oh, so you're co-champions. No, we're not co-champions, but it's like we're all champions. I don't know. So you see they're kind of teasing Santos getting jealous. He didn't show any signs of it tonight. He's like, no, I gave him my blessing. I respect Rey Mysterio. The only one I'm mad at is Austin Theory for taking me out. So they're setting that up for a Santos turn. Or maybe they're just setting up for Santos to beat Rey Mysterio. We shall see where they go with that. But as this is going on, out comes Austin Theory. He comes out. He says that match last week was basically not fair. He wasn't ready. And he demands Adam Pearce come out, strip Rey of his title, give it back to him, because that match shouldn't have never happened. I will say, this version of Austin Theory, now that he's lost his title, and he's trying to I guess he's rechasing the title. It seems like he's much more interesting now than he was with the title. But he does call himself the greatest United States champion of all time. That's what he calls himself. So before, Adam Pearce comes out. He says, nobody wants to hear you complain, Austin Theory. Why do you have a mic? He didn't say why do you have a mic, but that's pretty much what he said. And then out comes, from nowhere, L.A. Knight, yeah. He blows the roof off the building with the reaction that he gets. He comes out and he says, first of all, he runs down Austin Theory. He says, hey, you had the title. You only defended it like once every 3 months. And when you did, you fumbled the bag. No, it's time for some new blood. It's time for what everybody's saying, L.A. Knight to be champion. I don't care if it's Rey Mysterio. I don't care if it's Austin Theory. I don't care if it's Grayson Waller. Whoever has this title, it's time for L.A. Knight to claim it. And he says, what about this? What about you and I, you being Austin Theory and I, L.A. Knight, we have a match. The winner gets a title match versus Rey Mysterio for the United States title. Also, Adam Pearce makes the match. And we're set for that match, and it's happening right now. So, before the match starts, out comes The Miz, who is a Raw superstar, by the way. Why is there a brand split anymore? I don't even think so. But out comes The Miz. He comes out. He's on commentary. Uh, he's running down LA Knight. He says LA Knight is a Fandango without the tap shoes. He's just a flash in the pan. Until he can win some gold, that's just what he is, a flash in the pan. He's going to be in today, out tomorrow. So, as we're going through this match, towards the end, The Miz, he goes out, he does the whole distraction thing, distracts LA Knight. 1, 2, 3. Austin Theory, off of a roll up, too, by the way, gets the victory. He's number one contender. And out comes the cries of the internet because LA Knight takes the L again. We think he's going to get a United States title match, which it didn't make sense for that to happen right now. Ray just got the title. LA Knight's on a meteoric rise to the top, so he can't lose. Ray can't lose, so it makes sense that they did what they did. Now they set up LA Knight versus The Miz. He's going to get a one-on-one opportunity. He's going to beat The Miz because it's Gatekeeper Miz. And then it'll be time for him to take his meteoric rise to the top. Continue. But yes, Austin Theory wins, and he is now the number one contender for Ray's title. Whatever. Next up, we get this video package. Very well done video package. Just highlighting Edge's career. They showed like a moment of him talking to Bret the Hitman Hart in like a studio setting. Kind of like Arsenio Hall, Jerry Springer, the older type of shows. Looks like it was a Canadian show. Sally, remember Sally with her big ass glasses? Those type of shows. So Edge is in the crowd. He talks to Bret the Hitman Hart. He asks him a question. I didn't even understand what he asked him. Then it just documents his career. You have all these superstars talking about how much of an impact Edge had on the WWE, how much he poured his heart and soul into it, how great he is, and he is. 25 years of Edge. And after this video package, before the video package, we also had some of the superstars. They did like a live thing. So you had John Cena, Natalya, Sheamus, Charlotte Flair, Sami Zayn. They all did like a favorite Edge moment type thing. So this was like a good chunk of the show, setting up Edge's match for later that night. Now, is it his last match? We don't know. He did say it's the last match of his contract. So we're going to see what happens after that. We're going to talk about that later on. Next up, Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair as tag team champions. As tag team partners, taking on the champion, Io Sky, and Bayley, also known as Damage Control. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, didn't Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair just try this a couple weeks ago, and they were like not getting along? Bianca Belair mouthed, "Never again am I tagging with you." Well, fast forward 2 weeks, and here they are again tagging. They go against Damage Control. This was an okay match. There was a spot that was just like a crazy, but I don't know what happened on the spot. So you got this crazy spot where Charlotte Flair, she is going to tag Bianca Belair. It seemed like she was waiting for Io to interrupt the tag because she was very, very, very much stalling to tag Bianca Belair. Now the only problem is she was literally right in front of Bianca Belair, so she's right in front, and she holds her hands out, and then she like moves it to the side so she doesn't tag, and then she jumps to do the tag and hits the turnbuckle on purpose. By the way, she misses, and Io Sky and attacks Bianca Belair. So I don't know. Seems like she was expecting Io to knock Bianca Belair off the apron. I don't know what happened there, but it just looked crazy. Um, yeah, so we have that spot. But other than that, it was a pretty good match for these ladies. Now, I have another pop quiz for you, though. You got Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair facing the newly crowned women's heavyweight champion who just won the title. And she's on the other side of, or as the opponent. Who would you think would win this match? Would you say the newly crowned champion that they want, that should be building up to be dominant, would win this tag team match against, and also, by the way, with Bailey, who she's been running around with since a year, so we'd say they're pretty comfortable as being a tag team against these two women who didn't get along just 2 weeks ago. Who do you think would win this match? If you said Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, you are correct because that's who won. But so even with the title, it seems like they're still doing damage control the way they do damage control, which is damage control taking the L. But you got the champion, so it's okay, right? So Bianca Belair, Bianca Belair, she actually pins Bailey, KOD. Looking up at the lights, thank you for coming. After this segment, Bianca Belair, she's walking backstage, and Damage Control, they do attack Bianca Belair. They hit her with a concerto on her knee, so they seemingly have roped Bianca Belair off TV for a while. Good. Not saying that, you know, Bianca Belair, obviously, she's one of the better ones on the roster, but we don't need her. She just won the title. We don't need her to go against Io Sky. Like, we can save that match for later. But I guess now then that leaves Charlotte Flair to get a title match at Payback because Bianca Belair is injured. What are they going to build that off of? Oh, you injured my friend. Well, she wasn't even your friend, but I can see what you're saying there. But there's this other person who was champion going into SummerSlam that no one seems to be talking about. A little lady named Asuka. Like, where's she getting her rematch? I guess she's just the third wheel out. I don't know. She's over here on social media talking about, well, what am I going to do now? So I guess they're just skipping right over that. They're going to go Charlotte Flair at Payback, and uh, maybe she wins it so she can get her 15th title, so she can get on the way to tying her dad and John Cena. But I just want to really move past this already. Let's get Charlotte Flair out of the title picture. Let's just do something with Charlotte Flair that doesn't involve the title. I'm not saying she doesn't need to be on TV. I'm just saying she doesn't need to be around the title. Like, let's do another like a mid-tier feud with Charlotte Flair and someone. Hell, she can feud with Bianca Belair. Hey, why weren't you there to help me? And then they can go off and do a feud, and then you can have Io Sky running through the division and be a dominant champion. Next up, we have the OC. They're taking on the new look Street Profits. By new look, They have like there was no like solo cups falling from the sky. Oh, they didn't even get an entrance, so that does remain to be seen whether or not they're going to have that still. New attitude. There wasn't any gyrating or any of that. It was just all business street profits, and they take on the OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Street Profits win. They also have a new move that they debuted. It was a sky high into a neck breaker. 1, 2, 3. They beat the OC. Post match, they walk up the ramp. Out comes Bobby Lashley to a big ovation, and they just pose at the top of the ramp, and that was that. So, I guess to put a little bit more on that, we'll see what happens with the Street Profits, the new look Street Profits. We'll see what happens with them. So far, so good, but yeah, we'll see where they go with that. And that's also to go back. I did say that they're building up the tag team division. It seems so. This is also one other team that is being plucked back into the tag team division. Are we going to get Indashare back as a tag team on TV? What happened to them? They were they were actually doing pretty good. They had a pretty good run, but now they're just off TV. Are they working main event? I don't know. They're just like not here. So maybe we bring them back. The Viking Raiders, they're just forget about them. They're just bona fide jobbers. The New Day, they're back. Gallus and Anderson, they could have done something. Um, there's not really a lot of teams on SmackDown, but on Raw you got a lot of teams. But yeah, seems like the tag team division is slowly creeping back to being relevant or having a story. Let's not jump the gun here and say they're relevant, but they're having a story. Next up, we have Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is backstage with Kayla Braxton, who released a video, or not a video, but she released a picture on Instagram looking oh so good in a bikini. And she asked Paul Heyman about the bloodline. And Paul Heyman said, I'm not going to answer that about the future of the bloodline. I'm not going to answer that. What about Roman Reigns? Can you talk about him? Nope, not going to talk about him. And he says to Kayla, what if we talked about your family? Huh? How's your mom doing? How about your cousin? How about your dad? Yeah, it's not good to talk about your family, huh? He said, well, what if we talked about Austin Theory? So this was a weird thing, and maybe it's like a seed planted for where they're going in the future. But he said, what about Austin Theory? He beat that flash in the pan wannabe L.A. Catch Mr. Catchphrase L.A. Knight. Why did Paul Heyman throw out L.A. Knight's name like that? And are they teasing LA Knight versus Roman Reigns in the future? Maybe they are, but LA Knight has a lot of stuff he needs to do to get to being a believable champion. First of all, he just lost this night. Why are we already talking about him being in the title picture? Maybe they're just trying to take advantage of the reaction that he's getting. Strike while the iron's hot, but it won't be believable if he goes against Roman. But they better be careful here. I will say that. They better be careful because he might get so hot that it becomes what we had last year when it was should it be Sammy or should it be Cody going into WrestleMania? It might happen again. It might be should it be LA Knight or should it be Cody? Who's the one that because we would expect that Roman Reigns is going to lose this WrestleMania. So we might get into a little situation. Is it going to be Cody or is it going to be LA Knight? So they better be careful there. Maybe they need to go ahead and do the match. Maybe you throw it out at Royal Rumble. You go to Royal Rumble, you have LA Knight versus Roman Reigns. It would be good for a one-off, and then you keep him out of the WrestleMania talk for now. I think you can you can hold off on the LA Knight WrestleMania title match. You don't need to skyrocket that much. Let's build him slow, get him up the card, maybe get a mid title card, enter the United States title, get a little run with that, and then we can push him to the main event. But that leads us into, speaking of the main event, that leads us to the main event. We have Edge versus Sheamus. Now, there's moments when you watch wrestling, there's moments where, especially if you're doing like a podcast thing, where it's time to just put everything down, put the phone down, put the pen down, and just take in the moment. And that's what this whole thing was for me. I put the pen down, put the phone down, I took in the moment. Sheamus comes out for his entrance, and then we have like the little bit of silence, and then all of a sudden Metal Angus hits. You think you know me? Out comes Edge, big pop because he's in his hometown. He does the thing, gets the fireworks shooting off, goes around, kisses Beth Phoenix, and he gets in the ring. He's getting just this mega pop from the crowd. It's just one of those moments that you just wanted to soak everything in. Before the match starts, the crowd is just pouring pouring their support to Edge, and it was just, I don't know, an awesome moment. And then the match also, I would say, lived up to the moment. It was just one of those matches. Edge, 51 years old, doing sharpshooters, doing spears outside the ring, top rope cross bodies. Sheamus, he held his own. He actually was a good dance partner for Edge. He was very believable. He did like a 10 beats of the Baldwin. So yeah, there was a moment I want to touch on that real quick. There's a moment he does 10 beats of the Baldwin. The crowd's booing, of course, because this is their hometown hero. This is Edge. You can't do that to him. And he just does 10. You know how Sheamus, he gets crazy with the 10 beats, and he does way more than 10. So he just does 10. Edge, he turns around, he slaps Sheamus for some reason, and then Sheamus like, all right, puts him back, and then just continues to beat the shit out of Edge. And he just keeps going. We get the crowd, they're just like going crazy because he's beating the shit out of Edge. Edge, he's still defiant. He goes for a spear. It's countered by the rising knee from Sheamus into the bro kick. How many people have Sheamus put down with the bro kick? I'm gonna tell you a quick story here. If you play WWE 2K, back on the Xbox 360 days, Sheamus, that bro kick, that was like the most dangerous move in the game. I'm forgetting what year it was, but that was the most dangerous kick in the game. First of all, he can hit it out of nowhere, and yeah, he got his little bar up so quick, he'd hit you with a bro kick and you were done. Like, that move was dangerous. Like, how many people have kicked out of the bro kick? Well, he hit Edge as clean as can be. Edge kicks out because this is his hometown. This is possibly his retirement match. This is not happening tonight. Edge kicks out of the bro kick, and he hits a spear for the victory. What a match. Edge, if it is his final match, this was a hell of a match. Again, 51 years old, doing things that people half his age can't do. This was just all around A plus. But we'll forget about it next week. But it could be a match of the year candidate. So there is also that. Now, I touched on it. Is this Edge's last match? So post match, Edge, he did address the crowd. He said, "This is the last match on his contract." As in, now around the rumor mill, they say that Edge's contract is actually over in October, but he doesn't have like another scheduled match until October, so that this thus was the last match before his contract expires. So it leads us to the question: is Edge going to go to AEW? Is Edge going to come back and do another contract? Is it just him saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not coming back, or maybe I am coming back. We'll just see what they do. So is it him saying he'll be back in WWE after his new contract? Like maybe he takes some times off, comes back at Royal Rumble, sets up something for WrestleMania. I don't know who that's going to be. He's already pretty much done everything that he can do. He's been champion multi times over. He's not going to beat Roman Reigns. He's not going to take a spot at the main event of WrestleMania away from Cody or LA Knight. Um, so where do you go with him if you keep him in WWE? Yeah, you can't do. We've already seen the Randy Orton thing, so we don't want to do that again. There's not really much he can do. Maybe we do. Maybe John Cena comes back, does a match with him. Um, Maybe you do like a one more thing with Rey Mysterio. I'm not really interested in that. So you see, there's not really much you can do with Edge. So this could very well be his last match. And you got some people who are upset with that. Oh, he didn't go out at WrestleMania. He should go out at WrestleMania. But again, there's not that one guy that he can just go out there, put on the WrestleMania match, do the curtain like a la Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker, or Shawn Michael or Undertaker Triple H. Like there's just not Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. I can go on. There's just not the moment that you can create where he goes out at WrestleMania, he wrestles a hell of a match with someone, and then that's the flowers, the end of an era type situation. So maybe this was like the perfect send off for Edge. It was in his hometown. Uh, he definitely said to the crowd, "I will not wrestle in front of you again." Like that's for sure. And he also said, "I don't have another year left in me to wrestle." So we will see where it goes there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Edge going to come back? Is Edge going to go to AEW? Is Edge going to just be like a retired in ring? He's retired. Maybe he just does like behind the scenes stuff, or maybe he just rides off into the sunset like the Undertaker did. But I did talk about AEW, and I might as well go ahead and talk about it because when the contract expired, everybody started immediately saying, "Hey, let's send Edge over to AEW." But I may be in the minority here, but I actually don't think that Edge should go to AEW. Number one, okay, the style that AEW does, it's not for Edge. Now I know you got like Chris Jericho and Sting. They're doing their thing. They're older. They're putting on matches, but AEW is for like the 6-star bangers, or melty bangers, 7-star bangers, all that. That's what AEW is for. Like, I don't think Edge needs to go over there and do those types of matches. I don't want to see Edge getting a Canadian Destroyer or even trying one. I think he did actually try one a couple months ago. But anyway, I digress on that. The other thing that I have to say about that is Christian. They say, oh, he can go join his best friend in Christian, and they can rejoin Edge and Christian's as a tag team, maybe get another run at the titles, do Edge and Christian versus FTR, do, I don't know, the Bullet Club, do the Hardy. Well, you could do the Hardys because they are in AEW. Do the Hardys, do the Young Bucks. Edge and Christian versus all these teams. But to that I say, Christian is on a meteoric run right now as a heel. So why would we stifle what Christian is doing? First, and he's building up Luchasaurus. Let's not forget that. But why would we stifle the best run of Christian's heel work here for an Edge and Christian tag team? Doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you're doing what you're doing as a solo guy, why would you go and do the tag team? Seems like we're going backwards there. Like, yeah, there would be some good matches. Now, let's say he comes out, he does a solo run. You could see like Edge versus CM Punk, Edge versus, I don't know, Kenny Omega, maybe. Edge versus Malachi Black. That would be something interesting. So there are some opponents for him over there, uh, new opponents. Edge versus Sting. Does anybody want to see that? That might be interesting. Edge versus Jericho. Maybe Edge versus Sting is like a money match. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I don't think he should be shackled to Christian if he goes to AEW. But I still don't think that Edge and AEW would be a good fit. It's just not. It's not a good fit for a 51-year-old guy. And again, I know Sting, Jericho, they're still doing it, but doesn't mean Edge needs to go do it too. Oh, and the whole neck thing, right? He does have the neck thing, so that's another caveat to the story. Matt Hardy, he could do Matt Hardy. Throw that out there. But let me know in the comments what you think is next for Edge. Do you think he goes to AEW? Do you think he goes back to WWE? Do you think he's actually done? These are some questions that we need to see play out. If he is done, he was one of my favorites. So thank you, Edge. To move on from Edge, completely move on from Edge, I also want to give a shout out to both AEW and WWE. So AEW, they have this little pay per view, and everybody shit on the actual build and the card of the pay per view, but we're gonna put that aside for right now. There's this pay per view called All In that they're putting on in 2 weeks. Well, 1 week from when you're hearing this, probably. All In, and then you got WWE. They just put tickets out for WrestleMania 40, and they're both touting record numbers. So AEW, they're touting that they sold 91,000 tickets, the biggest paid ticket gate in wrestling history over in the UK. So they beat out WrestleMania when they were in the UK. This is the biggest paid ticket gate. What that means is they've sold that many tickets. Doesn't necessarily mean that many people are showing up. You got to watch the wording there. And then over in WWE, they've sold 90,000 tickets of WrestleMania, and they did that in one night. Now, the caveat here is it is over both nights. So it's 90,000 tickets sold in 24 hours, but you got night one and night two. So it's really 45 and 45. But to do that in one night, that's also amazing. So wrestling as a whole, you can say, is hot right now. And congratulations to both companies for putting on or for being able to break these records and just prove that wrestling is a thriving business right now. In other news, uh, so yeah, congrats to both AEW and WWE. In other news, Dakota Kai and Thea Trinidad, blanking on her name, Selena Vega. There we go. Dakota Kai and Selena Vega. They have started a podcast. They announced this as of yesterday. The name of it, couldn't tell you right now. Maybe I'll put it in the description right past the like button if you want to go check out their pod. But or you can just go check out their Instagram. They Zelina Vega, she teased. She said announcement. That's what they do now. They announce announcements, right? So she said, "Hey, I got an announcement coming up. Stay tuned." And then she announced it. They're starting a podcast. Might be interesting to listen to. I don't know what else about that is relevant, but I just wanted to go ahead and give that some shine. And finally, in our last story of the night, Lacey Evans is no longer with the WWE. This happened earlier this week. She posted on her Instagram that this was like on Wednesday, I believe. When the clock strikes 12, I'll no longer be Lacey Evans. I'll be whoever she is now, whatever. So, yeah, I don't know if she asked for her release or hasn't been too much follow up with that, or if it was just that her contract expired, but she did not resign either way, and she's no longer with the WWE. She was heavily teasing that she was going to start a OnlyFans, but before you go and run and get your credit card out and get the subscription button ready, she has not yet started it. Maybe she was just trolling people or whatever. Apparently, she started like a coffee shop or something. I don't know. But there you have it. Lacey Evans is no longer with the WWE. Everybody was thinking, oh, here we go. Here comes the budget cuts. But this seems to be a solo thing. It was just her. So that's why I don't know if it was a contract expiring or what we did there. But if you want to, I don't know, show her some support, you can go to her Google and leave her little coffee shop some review. You can find all this on her Instagram. I'm not going to tell you how to find it, but just go to her Instagram. You'll see it. She started this coffee shop. You can give it a Google review, and then that'll help her. Uh, or if you don't want to help her and you say good riddance, then there you go too. You get your wish. It seems that we had like a 50-50 split on if this was a good or a bad thing. But anyway, on that note, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Sound off. And if you do disagree with anything, let me know in the comments below. If you agree with anything, let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know how the solo show went. And until next time, top guy.